Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast of ZeldaDungeon.net, and the subject for today is Ganondorf in Skyward Sword, or just Ganon, depending on what you prefer, Ganon or Ganondorf. And yes, this is the third video in a row I am doing about Ganon. I'm getting really original now. Or maybe that's not exactly sarcasm, considering this one isn't in reference to the past of the series. This video is going to detail the future, specifically how Ganon relates to Skyward Sword, as the title implies. I'm going to be talking about how, Ganon, how he'll relate to the game, whether I think he'll appear or not, and if he's going to appear, how I think he could. Now, I've talked a lot in the previous videos about how I don't think he can be in Skyward Sword because the Skyward Sword that you acquire in the game it's stated that at some point it will turn into the Master Sword. In other words, this is the origin of the Master Sword. And the Master Sword is necessary to defeat Ganon. Now, people have said, what if it turns into the Master Sword in order to defeat Ganon? Yeah, that could work, you know? What if you had to get some pure metals? Or you had to get the power of the sages, and that was used to power up the Master Sword to defeat Ganon. And I have to say, yeah, the idea that it could be necessary to defeat Ganon is possible. My main argument against that is the fact that Ocarina of Time was pretty much obviously the origin of Ganon. I mean, he appeared before. I mean, obviously he was born before the story. You don't see baby Ganon. Mental picture is funny, but they never implied that he was inhuman in any way. At that point, despite his sorcerer's powers, he was a normal guy, so he probably lived a pretty normal lifespan. That said, Skyward Sword seems to be taking place quite a long time beforehand, and the Master Sword existed in Ocarina of Time before Ganon's, origin. Therefore, it's pretty much impossible that he could actually appear. Now, Nintendo could bend things. They could change ways to put him in, There's ways they could work things around to make him work. It could be an origin of Ganon. It could be the theory that that Ganon, the pig thing, is actually some kind of evil spirit that possesses a man, Ganondorf in this case. But and then there's also perhaps he did live in an abnormally long lifespan. I mean, there's just ways you could fit it in. But my thoughts on the subject is that there's no way they can fit it in that feels natural. As it is, with what we know about Skyward Sword, it seems like it would feel okay, and it wouldn't require explanation if Ganon did not appear. But if you were to put Ganon in, you seems like, with what we know, this could change as we find out more, you'd have to bend things a little bit to explain that he's in there. So my thoughts are that it seems like the structure of the story as we've seen it, that Ganon, they're not building it for Ganon, so I doubt we will see Ganon. But maybe I'm interpreting things completely wrong. I'd love to hear what you guys think. There are ways they could throw Ganon in there, though. He could make cameos or stuff like he did in the Oracle games, or he could pose as a full villain, or like a subsequent second villain, like in Twilight Princess. There's ways they can do it, and I definitely think he's a good villain. I just think, at this point with Skyward Sword, it just doesn't feel normal that he'll be in it. But, again, that is just me, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. So be sure to tell me in the comments, what do you think about Ganon? What do you think about Skyward Sword? How they relate to each other? Oh! I remember one thing, is that someone was saying that the light arrows were actually the thing you needed to defeat Ganon. That was true in the original Legend of Zelda. The original, first one and the third one. But, the thing is that, those old games, they're weird because we can't seem to figure out how to fit them in with everything else, To that degree, I think either inadvertently they've been retconned a little. I mean, I think they've been overwritten just a little bit in that we can't fit them in yet. That said, ever since the first game, and this is even true in A Link to the Past, you never can use the light arrows on their own. You need the Master Sword too. So, I still think the idea of Master Sword necessary to defeat Ganon still stands. That said, it's not the primary point. It's the timeline thing with Ganon's origins in Ocarina of Time. There's some talking about his origins in Link to the Past too, even, but that game also contains the Master Sword. And in both games, they establish that the Master Sword is a legendary thing. If this happened recently in the past that it was created, it can't be legendary yet. Alright, so I think that's it, guys. Definitely tell me what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think, and since this is essentially feedback to comments I've gotten about me talking about this, I'd love to hear your feedback to my feedback to your feedback. Alright, guys, later.